What's up, Online Empire Academy? I'm Joshua Woodward, and I am so excited to be here today. I have Duane Malek with us. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a good day. So Dwayne has been a member and a good friend of our Online Empire Academy for a long time. I mean, even before it was Online Empire Academy. And I wanted to bring him on just to talk about what's going on, and I like to always catch up. So, Dwayne, tell us, how did you get started with this? What is your story?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, first of all. I appreciate it. I've been friends with Dean and Brett for years now. It's hard to believe it's been so long, but so anything I can do to help the Empire Academy is awesome because, dude, you guys are great.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, quick, I won't go into the full story because people have probably heard it before, but the quick rundown, about 3 years ago now, I was listening to the podcast that Dean had out, the Entrepreneur Ideas, and he had his cousin Brett on, and I heard him talking about FBA and how they were doing at the time. This was like October of 2012, and I had planned on quitting my job anyway. I was at AT&T, totally unhappy, couldn't care less about the money they were paying me or the benefits, any of that. I was like, I just need out. I need to find my own way in this world. And as I was listening to Brett, I was like, this sounds kind of feasible, this FBA thing. Huh. And, Dean had him back a couple of times. And the more I listened, the more I kind of got drawn into what they were doing. And in January 2013 is when I made my first purchase. Found some Nerf guns at the local grocery store after Christmas clearance. They were like $5, selling for $40. And, I took a chance, spent a whole $100. See, I started this business with $1,500. That's what was in a kind of a business fund. And I said, okay, if we can make this thing work, cool. If not, it crashes and burns. I figure out something else to do in this world. So I spent like $100 on the Nerf guns. Of course, it's Nerf. $5, you just can't go wrong. They blew out the door for 40. Yeah, now I was hooked. I mean, immediately. So, and that probably played into the whole fast turn thing as it grew later. Because I saw what it was like to take $5 and immediately make $40 on that and get that money right back and just roll it over and over. So, fast forward, maybe 6 months, I became very involved with Brett and Dean in the Online Empire Academy. Just got to know them very well, worked with them, did some coaching for them, and helped some other people that, at the time I look back, I wasn't even doing, I think, $10,000 a month. Yet people were like, well, how are you doing what you're doing? What's this whole fast turn thing? Which Brett coined the term fast turns because he and I have totally different business models. Like I'm going to go buy, a container full of stuff and just sell it over the next 2 years. I'm like, no, I want a little bit of stuff and I want to sell it tomorrow. And he's like, all right, go ahead with your fast turns. And so that's kind of where the name came from. I've been great friends with those two ever since. We've done some different business deals together and just worked together on and off. And so it's, it's been, almost 3 years now. We've been selling just over 2.5 years. So time has flown by. We went from those early days of Nerf guns and, $1,500 to where we just got done with the back to school season. And I guess we're still a little bit into it, but it's coming to an end. But we wrapped up August with just over 63,000 in sales.
Oh,
and,
my goodness.
Still have not taken out a single loan, no debt in the business. We just grew from that $1,500. And, a couple of Q4s definitely helped boost the bottom line. So we're excited that we're coming into Q4 again. But yeah, things couldn't be better. And I owed all the beginnings to Dean and Brett. I mean, honestly, that's where I found out about FBA. And that's where I learned that this stuff could actually work. So,
wow.
Yeah. That's the long story short.
And I mean, you were working at AT&T. First off, have you left that job? I'm guessing from what you were talking about, you left the job. And then second, is this your full-time gig now?
Yeah. I had planned on leaving AT&T long before I knew about FBA. And so I started in January. I thought I might get a buyout, so I hung around until March of 2013. So like it was mid-March. So 10 weeks after I started FBA, I was like, see you guys, I'm done. And so I've been
Wow.
full-time ever since.
My
Now,
goodness.
yeah, we did plan ahead and saved up a good chunk of money because I knew it was going to take time to build the business and all that. So it's not like we just, I left and then the next day I started making $5,000 a month. No, not at all.
Totally.
It was definitely a building process. But yeah, I left AT&T. I do this full time between coaching and the Threads and Treads group that I am a co-admin of, that provides some of our income. Of course, selling is the majority of our income. So a lot of different ways that this business, that you can make money in this business. You can write books, which I have not done. There are just a ton of different options. The ungating services that are out there, there are ways to make money with Amazon and FBA without directly selling. So anyone that thinks, man, I just don't want to go to stores and buy stuff, there are other options. So I have gone down a couple of those roads with the coaching, with the paid groups, and with the selling. But, I love going to stores. I still get a thrill out of going to stores, finding that thing for 50 that I can sell for 200, or even if it's that $10 item that sells for 20, but I can get 100 of them and I'm going to sell them in the next week and a half. I love that stuff. And so I do it all, or I do at least a little bit of everything I like to do. And that's what this business has really given me. Once I left AT&T, I woke up that first morning and it really just hit home. I went, my God, I can make money any way I choose today. Yeah. There is nobody telling me when I have to do something, when I have to be there, when I can go home, how much money they're going to give me at the end of the day. None of that. I can make nothing, or I can make $1,000 today, and it's up to me. And so it's just been incredible, the freedom that you have. So anybody that really thinks that they can't do this business, don't think that for a second. It can be done. It can be done successfully. You hear a lot of naysayers, RA is dead. No, RA is not dead, I promise. Retail arbitrage is not dead. Online arbitrage, you can't make money doing that. Private label, too much risk. 100 excuses. Don't listen to any of them. You can make money in this business probably 10 different ways, and find the part that fits you and then exploit it. It may not be a great word to use, but that's what I've done. I said, I love doing this and I'm going to hit it hard and I'm going to kill it. And I like doing that over there, and I'm going to go do that too. And yeah, I far exceeded the income that I made with AT&T, and that was $65,000. Okay, people used to say, how are you going to leave a $65,000 union job, guaranteed contract, benefits, all that good stuff? And they couldn't bring me back for 3 times that now. I don't make 3 times that, but I mean, there's no way I would go back to having the shackles on that they provided. There's no way. And for $65,000, not a chance. This business is awesome. Yes, I'll leave it at that.
I love it. One of the questions that's kind of been looming in my mind with retail arbitrage, and I love it, just like you were saying, like being able to go out, get something for 10 and sell it for 100 at times. Like that's such a thrill. But one of the trends I'm seeing is that if you're selling an item on somebody's private label, or a bigger company comes in and tries to shut you down or something like that, or you get flagged, how have you managed to continue selling items retail arbitrage with the reality that could happen?
First of all, you have to know the marketplace. You have to know what the restricted brands are. You have to know who doesn't like you selling their stuff, and be prepared to deal with some of that. I've had companies that have said, you're not an authorized seller, you must stop selling our product. And I said, well, how about we go with another option and I become an authorized seller? How do I become an authorized seller of your product? Because your brand is great, your product is great. I want to continue selling it. And I've had some that have said, this is how you do it. Here's the application form. I've had others that said, no, you're not selling on Amazon. We don't want you selling our product, period. And, my response, usually I'm low enough because retail arbitrage, it's often difficult to find a large quantity of something.
Totally.
So, you may have 10 units in stock. I'll just drop the price, dump the 10 units. I don't want to sell a business's product if they don't want me to. Yes, you can try to go with the first sale doctrine. You can try to argue with them and fight with them and, dare them to actually take action. But why? If there's no reason, there are a ton of products out there that I've never had any issues with whatsoever. There's just too many options to really fight a company that doesn't want you on their product. But I will, my first response is always, how do I become an authorized seller? But I'm not going to go sell Apple products. I'm not going to sell Bose. I'm not going to sell those restricted brands knowing they're not going to let me sell. But that's kind of how I handle it. I don't go overly deep in most things. Unless wholesale, I will go extremely deep, different story. But with retail, I don't go extremely deep, in my opinion, which is kind of a relative term. So it's easy to back out of a deal if something does come up. But man, those letters are few and far between. I don't think I've gotten even half a dozen of them this year. Probably 2 or 3, honestly. So it's not many at all. It's just not. It's a non-issue.
That's good. That's good, because I think there's a lot of hype about it right now. Of like, oh man, they're shutting down everybody's account. But the more and more I've thought about it, I follow the same principle as you of like, hey, communicate. Hey, I have 1 or 2 items, and I'm going to sell these off quick. Like, I'm not trying to intrude on your listing. I'm not trying to do. I just found these at a cheaper price. I can show you my receipts. Like, deal with it. And because I totally respect the companies who are trying to keep prices the same, and who are trying to do what they have to do. They're doing the same thing as me. They're trying to make money. So I think that's good. It's a great perspective. What about you said you'll go deep on wholesaling. What is it for you about wholesaling that you would be willing to go deep? I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
First of all, you do a lot of research, and you can see most of what I go super deep on is seasonal items. And it's something I came up with last year that I call the Christmas arch, or the holiday arch, which simply came from the camel chart. I don't know if you're familiar with CCC, but they show sales rank. And it kind of goes a straight line. Let's say we're in August, September. And I noticed this last year as I was looking for Christmas items at November, December, there was this arch. And then January, February, it kind of falls off again. So I started looking for these little arches every season. So I look for these items that I know not only, everything tends to pick up in velocity around Christmas time, but if you can get something that increases in rank and increases in velocity, during just the natural flow, that's a home run. And we ended up selling literally, I looked today, it was 642 units of one product between November and December. So 2-month period we sold, and we were out of stock a lot. I just didn't buy enough. And I've seen that same trend over and over and over with, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. You give me a holiday, I'll show you an arch. And I have a coaching group where we now do brainstorming sessions, and it's not monthly, it's just as the season approaches. So a couple of weeks ago, we did the Halloween brainstorming session. And I said, look, guys, look, here's the product. Let's do some basic searches. And I actually put it up on my screen, did a screen share. I said, this is how I'm going to research products. And when I see this, I'm buying the crap out of it. I'm getting a bunch. Now, I will test 1 year to the next, because another thing that I've noticed is seasons are not 12 months apart. By the time you start a season and end it, it's usually about 2 months, maybe even 3 months that season lasts. So you're really only 9 months away from it again, and you got to plan a month or 2 ahead of time. Hey, 6 months from now, I'm going to start ordering the same stuff that I just sold. It's those cycles come around. So what I will do is the first year, I might only test with 100 units, but the next year, when I see how fast those 100 units sell, I'm going to buy several hundred. So that's what I've kind of done. I'm finally through a full cycle where I started in August last year with back to school. This will give you an example. I did the same exact thing with back to school last year in August. Bought some test samples. Everything sold through really well. I saw that the supplier went out of stock, so I couldn't get any more. I was better prepared this year. Now, last year we had a good month, and we did about 19,000 in sales. This year with preparation, knowing what was going to do, buying in early, going deep, we did over 60,000. You know, that was just what we tested and learned last year. We applied this year. Also did more RA this year than I did last year. So that boosted. So while I had the wholesale in place and lots of it, and it was just kind of doing its thing, hey, I don't have to touch it anymore, right? You know, I can go to the stores and I can spend my time getting the stuff that's only available locally that I can't get the wholesale accounts for, and put the two together, and it was a perfect storm. And yeah, and then we do have the wholesale that sells just, you know, 5 a day, every day, whether it's January or it's June, they just sell. So we have a handful of those products as well. And you know, we just keep about a 30 to 60-day supply on hand of those, and that's our business in a nutshell. So that's how we decide how to go deep on stuff.
Wow. Now, you had mentioned a group. Is this an open group?
Well, I have my coaching group, which is a paid. It's a you know, one-time fee. It's not a monthly subscription or anything. So it's a one-time fee coaching group. Currently, it's $297. That price, you know, it sometimes goes. It started at $97. I'll tell you, 2 years ago, it was $97, and it was a good value, but it was worth about $97. And now it's probably worth well more than the $297. I just don't want to. I'm just not charging more than that. That's
totally.
But you know, in the future, maybe it'll be $497. I don't know. I just kind of change the prices as I see fit. But so that is the paid coaching. I also have a Facebook group that is a public Facebook group it's called Fast Turn Radio. And that's just where I advertise my weekly show that I do. Actually, it's Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. So, you know, I post the link, and there's a little bit of conversation, but not a lot. You know, for the most part, it's just a place for me to promote the show. And then I sit there for an hour and answer questions, and we have guests and, you know, that kind of stuff. So those are the two Facebook groups that I run. But cool. Then I am also the co-admin of the Threads and Treads group, which is a clothing and shoe flip/coaching group. That one, we teach you how to find your own deals, how to list variations, how to take your pictures, how to create listings, that kind of stuff with shoes and clothing. So we teach you all the basics of what you need. And then we also provide flips as we find them, usually Amazon flips. So we'll find where Amazon is closing out a certain clothing line, and you can buy the last 10 of them, the last 100 of them, whatever the case may be. So those are some of the paid groups that I'm a part of. I
have a question about the Threads and Treads. Is this a group that, like, you're buying clothes and selling on Amazon, or is it like a kind of a more broad look at clothes and shoes?
Most of it, the flips themselves are Amazon to Amazon. So we're buying from Amazon, selling back on Amazon, the majority of them. The reason we do that is clothing and shoes can have a lot of variations, and you think you're getting the same product, but it's not. So, you know, if I order from Macy's and I think it's that same Izod shirt, it may be, it may not be. But if I order from Amazon, then, you know, it's pretty good chance that it is the same product. So that's why we stick to Amazon for giving flips to people in the group. We definitely teach you how to go outside of Amazon to source products. And again, I love being in the stores. So, you know, I do more of the field reports is what we call them, where, you know, I'll take you to the store and I'll show you what I'm buying. Or David Diedrich, who is another one of the admins, will take you to the store and show you what he's buying. You know, so it's not just flips. It's not just coaching. It's a little bit of both. And it's not just online. It includes RA. So it's just a mix of everything. And of course, as we come into fourth quarter, I've had a lot of people asking, well, how do clothing and shoes do in the fourth quarter? They're amazing. You know,
really,
you know, people, the first thing I started selling after I got ungated in clothing were clothes that I was buying RA, and we sold over $10,000 worth during November, December.
Oh my gosh.
And again, that was me going out of stock constantly because I didn't know how much to buy. I was trying to do my testing. So I'd send in 5 and 5 would sell in that day. So I'd send in 20 and 20 would sell in 2 days. And I'm like, well, crud, there's, you know, 47 variations of this thing. And they were all selling. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough knowledge to take advantage of the situation. And so that showed me just how well this stuff can sell. Now, don't expect bathing suits to sell real well in December, but if you get an appropriate clothing, yeah, it's going to fly. And shoes, kids tear up their shoes, so they're going back to school. Kind of, Christmas is kind of a second back to school season too, which is kind of cool. They start to buy the second pair of shoes. People, are buying the winter boots. There's a ton of opportunity that time of year. It's a seasonal change. So yeah, as long as you're keeping with the season, there is always something in clothing and shoes that's going to fly. Water sandals. Sold more of those than I can count in the last couple of months during the summer. I'm not going to sell those in December, but if you just keep consistent, use some common sense, think about what you're doing, then there's a ton of money to be made all year round with clothing.
What do you do? One of the questions that's coming up in my mind is, what about the stuff that doesn't sell? So let's say you sell 100 water shoes, but then you have 100 left in stock and it's out of season. Do you have Amazon ship that back to you? Are you shipping merchant fulfill? What is your process for that?
If I get in that situation, which I honestly never have with a seasonal item, but if I get in that situation, you can either cut price and just try to dump it. Definitely have it recalled and then send it in the next season. Because like I said, it's not ideal for me to hold stuff, but 9 months from now, that same stuff is going to be selling again. So I would rather have it returned to me and send it back in than to have it destroyed and just lose that product altogether. Of course, you can pay long-term storage fees and just leave it there. Again, that's not ideal. But to give you an idea, I think our long-term storage fees were $22 or so, last time it came up. And I didn't have a single thing returned. Now, there were a couple of things that I just cut it at a loss. And I sold the 3 or 4 I had in stock at next to nothing just to get rid of them. But, for the most part, it's truly not an issue. But there are wholesale things where I've gotten in too deep, and it wasn't because they were seasonal. It was just thin margin. And once the margin was cut, I lost money on it. That does happen, but I'd rather lose $1,000 and get $5,000 back than to just have $6,000 tied up for Lord knows when, and paying fees month after month after month on it. So I've made some mistakes. I've definitely burned myself, but not on the seasonal stuff. I'm telling you, the seasonal, if you plan right, it's amazing. So it's usually more a case of, I wish I'd bought more than, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with all these?
Wow.
So
that's very cool.
Yeah. I think so.
What about, okay, so somebody's wanting to get into clothing on Amazon. There are restrictions for that. How did you go about getting accepted for that? That's something I'm not familiar with. I've never sold clothes on Amazon. It's a whole new thing for me. So somebody in the same place as me, how would they go about doing that? And then second, how would they go about being a part of your group, the Threads and Treads?
All right. The first part, you got 2 options. You can either do it yourself or pay somebody, one of the ungating services, to do it for you. I tried myself, and it was 2 parts at the time, which was submit your pictures. Once your pictures were accepted, then you had to fill out a flat file. And a flat file is just a spreadsheet, fancy name for a spreadsheet. I am awful with spreadsheets. So as soon as they sent this thing to me, I went, there's no way. So it just so happened that Nathan Slammons was starting his ungating service. I don't know if you know Nathan, but he's Andy Slammons, I think, nephew. Andy's pretty well known in the private label world. So he said, hey, how about if I help you get ungated? You tell people, that my service actually works, and, we'll call it even. I said, sure, I can do that. So I did get the clothing for free. He did the ungating. 17 hours from the time I talked to him until I was approved in clothing. It was 17 hours. And I went, dude, they're just, I would pay for this any day. And when it came time to do shoes, I did pay for it. I said, Nathan, dude, I don't care what you're charging. And it's extremely reasonable. Again, prices change and stuff, so I don't want to quote anything. But it was less than $300. I want to say I paid $250. I think it's less than that. But anyway, whatever it is, I don't care if he charges $1,000 for it. It's worth it because you can make the money. Once you're ungated, it took none of my time. Especially the second time. He already knew me. I knew the process. I clicked a couple of buttons. He submitted the stuff. It was done. Again, it was like a 24-hour turnaround. It was just insane. So I cheated, I guess. I just paid someone to do it.
I love it.
And I am not figuring this stuff out. And now there's a few of them. Nate McAllister has an ungating service. He's another one that I know is great. So these are guys that I've talked to that I know personally that do a great job. There's no reason for me to fight through a flat file. Just not going to happen. So, but if you choose to, if you're good at that thing and if you want to save a few bucks, all the more power to you. Yes, it's a fairly straightforward process as to what you have to do. It's just whether or not the people on the other end accept your flat files, or if you have to correct this or that, or yeah. Anyway, it just gets into a mess I didn't want to deal with. So I advise pay somebody a couple $100 and have it done.
Like it. No, that's good.
And then, yeah, and kind of where Threads and Treads was born out of was all these ungating services started at the end of 2014. Okay, fourth quarter, it seemed like they just sprung up everywhere. So people, and I got excited. I told people about my sales and about being ungated in clothing and how great it was going. So they went and they ran out and they got ungated. And they paid Nate and Nathan, and that's wonderful. And then they went, now what? Oh, you go buy stuff, I guess. And I happened to talk to Lisa Murphy and Becky Cornwell and David Diedrich. He's the other one. They had just started a clothing group, Threads and Treads. So I talked to them and I was like, you guys are kind of the only game in town with this Threads and Treads thing. What would you think about instead of, they were using affiliate links at the time. So they would post an Amazon flip with an affiliate link. I said, how about instead of doing that with affiliate links and maybe having people question why you're posting this? Okay. Because to me, there's a little bit of hesitation. This deal is so great. Why aren't they buying it themselves? No, they're just doing it for the affiliate commission. That's my own perception of that kind of stuff. So I took it to them and I said, all right, instead of doing the affiliate links, how about we just, or you, it wasn't even me at the time. I said, how about you just create a paid group? I would rather pay you guys $100 a month and know that everything is legit that you're sending through, versus you getting a little bit of affiliate money on stuff that I question whether or not it's really a good buy, or are you just doing it for the money? And so they talked about it. They said, yeah, we think that's a great idea. People are kind of getting to this now what situation. We could be the answer for that. And I said, and teach people. Let's coach. You should coach. Again, it was them at the time. I said, you should coach people, teach them how to do this stuff for themselves and provide the flips. I said, that's a great group. And they said, yeah, that sounds good. Why don't you help us with that? They said, people know you can kind of help promote the group, and you can help us with the coaching side because we've never coached anybody. And it just kind of all came together really, really well. So I kind of did the coach the coaches. They know clothing and shoes inside and out. So they teach the actual process of what goes into it, listing creations, taking pictures, adding variations, finding the ASIN once it's sold out on Amazon, all these little headaches that you run into when you start dealing with clothing, because something funny happens when a lot of clothes sell out on Amazon. Even if it used to be listed, if you scan the barcode, it won't be there anymore.
Huh.
And the same thing happens when you buy out all the stock. I can buy all of a certain set of swimsuits. When I go to relist it, you can't search and find it because they're all gone. Totally. It disappears from the catalog. So, we show you how to go find that stuff again. And anyway, it's just been a great group. We started it so that all this ungating took place at the end of fourth quarter last year. And we started, I think, in February with Threads and Treads, and just said, okay, everybody's saying, now what? Here's your answer. We're going to show you what next. And it's been amazing. We consistently have between about 150 and 200 members. Some leave, and then they come back. A lot of people do that. They're like, oh, I think I got it. And then they're like, well, you know what? I think I'd like to come back because I kind of miss just being given the flips, and it's a great group, great conversations, and I do have more questions. So it's an interesting thing to watch. Whereas my coaching, it's a one-time fee, so people are in, they just stay in. But with Threads and Treads, it's optional. It's month to month. You can cancel anytime you want. But to watch people leave and then come back, it's like, I think we're doing something right. People want us even after they think they're done. They come back. So
totally.
Yeah. So anyway,
cool.
That's enough about Threads and Treads. Sorry.
No, good. No, I appreciate it. I mean, it's an interesting one. I was seeing the trend of, American flag products. Anything patriotic was like, such a hot seller for so long. And I was like, oh man, I need to get in on this. And then, I'm restricted on Amazon. So I think it's cool to know that there's people out there who are able to kind of hop in on that and help you through that process. So no, I appreciate it. And I think for those of you, for the Empire, anybody on the Empire wanting to get a hold of you or get your information to know more about what you're doing, how can they do that?
The easiest way to get a hold of me is just through Facebook. So I don't even know what my Facebook thing is. Just search Duane Malek, you'll find me. Duane Malek. It's a pretty rare name, so I'm easy to find. It's not like Joe Smith. There are not 1,000 of me out there. But yeah, do not email me. I don't check my email. You sent me an email earlier, and you had to tell me that you sent me an email. I do not check it whatsoever. But yeah, find me on Facebook. If you want the Fast Turn Radio, obviously, that is my group. So you can find me through there. That's facebook.com/groups/Fast Turn Radio. Threads and Treads is facebook.com/groups/Threads and Treads. So either one of those will lead you to me. But yeah, just PM me. Just send me a PM on Facebook. By far the best way to get a hold of me.
I love it. And is there any limitation to how many people you take on any of your personal groups, whether it's your coaching group or the Threads and Treads?
No, there is no cap. The coaching group has grown to almost 400 people now, but it's funny. People are really active when they first join, and then they just kind of fall off into the background. So, I mean, there's not really 400 active people. There are 400 people in the group, but it's just, maybe 100 active at any given time. Threads and Treads, there's no cap, but what we have been doing up until this month, what we had been doing was only opening it to new members at the first of the month. So you knew for this month, there's going to be 172 people in this group. And that's it. It's not going to be a huge influx. Now, we did change that just for the month of September. We are open currently from September 1st to September 30th for new members. And the reason we did that is we are going to close down from October 1st to February 1st. So we are not going to accept any new members during fourth quarter so that we can focus on our business, because that's money making time. We can get you in September. We can get you up to speed in October and have you ready to hit it hard November and December. I mean, that's really kind of what we're doing. We're going to close it down so that we can focus just more on providing the flips and getting the deals that you need versus answering the questions of the incoming people. Because when you're new, when you come in, there's always questions. We just honestly do not want to be distracted by that. We want to have a strong group of people that we can just focus on making money versus so much of the coaching aspect. Not that we don't want to coach people. It's just coaching fourth quarter is a tough gig. You're too busy making money,
Totally. Well, again, you can find him at Duane Malek. Just search him, PM him, or Fast Turn Radio, and then Threads and Treads, correct?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for being on. I really do appreciate your time and taking some time out to talk to the Empire.
Yeah, Josh, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while since I've talked to you guys. So, I appreciate the invitation, and it's great to be back to where it all started. So tell Brett and Dean I said, hey, because I haven't talked to them in a little while. But no, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be on here, and I appreciate your time as well.
Absolutely. Well, Empire, until next time, have a great day.